Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Louise Huber begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. First tonight, a 26-year-old has died following a shooting at Granton early this morning. The man escaped from the Royal Hobart Hospital before a blow-up at a home. The horror scene leaving residents shaken.
A usually quiet and peaceful street, now the scene of a deadly shooting.
Police have attended and at the scene we've located, sadly, the body of a deceased male at that location, and we've further located a second male at the location who had some injuries that required hospitalisation.
Nicholas Scott escaped custody at the Royal Hobart Hospital just before 11 o'clock last night. Despite an extensive search, he made it to a house on Black Snake Road in Granton. Police allege an altercation took place at around 1:30, with one man producing a firearm. Soon after, the escapee was found dead out the front of the property.
The parties were known to each other. We don't believe that there's a wider risk to the community. It wasn't a random attack.
Police confirmed there were 2 other occupants in the home at the time of the incident, but both were uninjured.
Never heard a sound until we had a knock on the door around about 2 o'clock, but didn't hear a gunshot at all.
Neighbours left shaken, the scene just as daunting in the harsh light of day.
A little bit of a blow to find something happening so close to home.
The hospital wouldn't comment on the incident, with police continuing their investigations into how the victim was able to escape and how he made it so far from the CBD. Anyone who may have seen or heard something suspicious is urged to come forward. Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
A Northwest animal sanctuary devastated by October's floods is one of the organisations expected to benefit from a multi-million-dollar recovery fund. Wing Wildlife Park is hoping to come back bigger and better than ever as focus turns to its on-site hospital.
Now reopened to the public, the last few months have been a devil of a time for Wings Wildlife Park. The sanctuary was devastated during the mid-October floods, with the visitor centre inundated and multiple animal enclosures tossed around in the torrent.
Move the force of the water to move the buildings and the destruction that it did. There was a lot of times where we sat down and talked, is this something we can come back from?
While the rest of the centre is recovered in record time, nothing now remains of its animal hospital, where Paddy Mel and Joey Robbie was recuperating.
Since we've had that closed, we've actually had to turn away people that have brought animals to us. We haven't had the capacity to take it on.
It's hoped new disaster relief funding will heal the wound, with a $15 million boost from the state and federal governments now on offer. Under the latest tranche, non-profits and sporting organisations will be able to apply for up to $25,000 in grants to help them rebuild.
Organisations such as Wings Wildlife, sporting clubs, the fabric of our communities, and it's important that we support them in their recovery.
Private landowners who aren't primary producers will be able to access a $2 million pool to help repair the damage to their properties.
Because there are opportunities for community groups, councils to look at the recovery after the floods in lots of different areas.
Helping the Wildlife Centre grow new wings.
Now for us, we're back here because the community wanted us back here.
Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
2 new reports have revealed Hobart's housing market is continuing to slow. PropTrack says the city's house prices grew by just 1.1% in December, with values down nearly 2.5% since the peak. CoreLogic's Home Value Index, on the other hand, shows prices fell by nearly 2% last month, also slumping by 5% over the quarter.
Slightly reduced from the previous month. This is a market that has largely boomed from 2015, so no doubt that it's about time we'd start to see a bit of an easing.
Both sets of data also reported a fall in prices nationally last month. The taste of summer has wrapped up for another year, with some traders hailing it as their best event. Packdown commenced this morning at PW1 after last night's finale. Despite a few weather delays, more than 60,000 people passed through the gates, with 60% of those coming from interstate.
They're here for this event, they're here for City to Hobart. We've got people from all over the country, every single capital city there was tickets sold to.
In terms of the event, it was the best event that we've ever participated in. It never felt empty and it never felt over full. The flow was great, people could find you.
Northern Tasmanians also well represented, accounting for more than half of the local crowd. The Hobart International Field has received a boost with a Grand Slam winner added to the field. Sloane Stephens will continue her Australian Open preparations at the event, strengthening the quality of the tournament, which is returning for the first time since 2020.
It's been a while, but finally, the Saints and Sounds of tennis are back at the Domain. World number 88 Panna Udvardi has been here since December 30, getting ready for a big summer. After a long wait, Hobart's 2-year absence from the WTA Tour ends on Monday.
There's only so many of these events that run throughout the whole world, and we're really lucky and privileged to be able to host such an event here in Hobart.
Already serving up a quality field, organisers have included one final ace. 2017 US Open winner Sloane Stephens, a late entrant.
I think Hobart presents that great opportunity for her, so she was really excited to be able to commit to the event, and we can't wait to see her.
Also a French Open runner-up in 2018, Stephens had struggled with form in recent years. However, a win in Mexico and a French Open quarter-final saw her finish 2022 inside the top 50.
She's a quality person and a quality player, and it just adds to the field that we already have.
It's a lineup of Grand Slam potential, with 8 players inside the WTA's top 50 competing. Stephens' entry, along with a group of emerging talent, has the tournament director excited ahead of the week-long event.
I can't wait to see the emerging talent and these quality players that we've had that travel the world and play tennis year-round.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
A New Norfolk woman's now more than $700,000 richer after securing a Division 1 win in a Tot Stats Lotto draw from last month. The winner purchased the ticket from the Sorrel Lucky Agency on Gordon Street, but didn't actually check her ticket until several days after. She plans to use her winnings to pay off her mortgage, do some home renovations and set herself up for an early retirement.
Good evening. The rain stayed away, but the floodgates opened for the Hurricanes last night as they piled on the runs against the Adelaide Strikers in Hobart. Ben McDermott marked his return with a half-century, but both sides had a horror night in the field. Fans had bucket loads of expectation going into last night's game, but the Canes needed a bucket to hang on to the catches coming their way. Their record dismal this season for dropped catches, the worst in the tournament. Luckily, Caleb Jewell didn't make the same mistake twice.
A big top edge from Henry Hunt, who's had his woes all night.
But the Hurricanes' woes came from Matt Shaw, clearing not just the hill, but the picket fence too. Ben McDermott's barrel roll mopped up the big hitting short on 38, and San Shut-Up Khan, Paddy Dooley took the reins as chief spin doctor.
Yeah! Got him! Knocks him over.
Chris Lynn gave the top tier catching practice on the ground. Darcy Short hung on for dear life.
See this go straight in now, hits his thigh and catches it on the way down.
Relief was written all over his face, and the party tricks kept coming with the bat.
Oh, beautifully played.
Chasing a respectable but gettable 178, Caleb Jewell was ramping up the pressure.
Go fetch that on the hill. Oh, like a pinball.
He swung his way to a half-century. So too Ben McDermott, back from injury and heaving them into the crowd. While the Strikers also had the yips in the field.
It hasn't got it. Oh, Wes Agar's put it down. And they just dropped the match.
And yes, the hill let him know it. Batting down the order at number 4, Darcy Short tied up the remaining runs, the Hurricanes winning by 7 wickets, now to back it up against the Strikers on their home turf Thursday night.
Good evening. A slightly cooler day across the state today, a top of 15 in Hobart, 21 in Launceston and Devonport, and 19 in Burnie. Flinders Island and Smithton both reached 21, 19 in Low Head and Bushy Park, St Helens 16 and a top of just 12 degrees in Lyowini. Low level cloud blanketed the state today with a low pressure system lying off the north coast. Cloud is spiralling into large low pressure systems over northern WA and waters to the east of the country, with more scattered cloud about the southern coast. Tomorrow, a high entering the Bight will extend to a ridge over Tasmania and much of the south, with a weak trough also approaching the southwest, while low pressure remains over the north. South to southeasterly winds reaching up to 30 knots in the far northwest, ranging from 10 to 20 in other regions. And there's a strong wind warning for the far northwest coast. Cloudy conditions across the south tomorrow, a top of 19 for Hobart and Bothwell, 21 in Geeveston, a possible shower in 21 in Launceston, a shower or two for Devonport, also reaching 21, and cloudy and 20 in Cressy. A shower or two for Burnie, 19 in Strawn, and cloudy in Curry. And cloudy across the east, St Helens and Orford 18, and a top of 17 for Swansea. And tomorrow's UV remains at a very high 10. Light showers across much of the state on Thursday, clearing from the south in the afternoon. Friday, light showers for the east coast, fine elsewhere, apart from some possible showers in the inland region of the northwest. And more light showers for the east coast and the northwest coast on Saturday, fine elsewhere, Launceston 25 and 24 in Strawn. Wet conditions across much of the mainland tomorrow, with showers and a possible storm in Brisbane, Canberra and Darwin, 19 in Melbourne, cloudy in Adelaide and 36 in Perth. Right now in Hobart it's 14, at Launceston 17 and some drizzle in Devonport, and Lou, it certainly feels like a Tasmanian summer.
It certainly does, Vic. Thank you for that. That's the news for tonight. I'll see you later on with some updates. Good night.